Hello and welcome everyone. Daudius here, and I've been working on a project. Um, I know I haven't had a couple of videos up in the last, well, I haven't had any videos up in the last 2 days. And I've been working on a special project. And this one here I'm calling Extreme Build, and I think I'm going to actually make a special series based on this concept. So basically, what I'm working on is extreme builds as far as complexity and simplicity and kind of collapsing everything down into as small an area as possible. So this here is a multi-farm setup here. If you've been watching the Ancient Warfare Project Red Dog series, you know we've had problems with some of the farmers, with them getting stuck trying to go places where we didn't want them to go. So I kind of took that into consideration, and I wanted to kind of make it as compact as possible, so that the farmers didn't have a long way to run, and we could kind of automate everything as much as possible. So let me show you what I've got here. This is a two-level system here, and I'm in creative mode so that I can fly around and show you the stuff as easily as possible. So here we've got a potato farm, and it's a regular 9x9 farm with the single block of water. You can see covered up by the slab. And I didn't need to cover it with a slab because nothing can get inside here. That's just kind of the way I do things. And then over here we've got a simple pumpkin farm. One thing with the pumpkin farm, when you automate it, is don't put seeds into it. Otherwise, you'll see how all the ground is tilled. The farmers will try to plant seeds in every block. And then, of course, you don't get pumpkins or melons because they have no place to grow. So that's something to be aware of. And over here we have a carrot farm. Again, the 9x9. And I just made the pumpkin farm really small. It's just a 9x3 because you don't need... unless you need a lot of pumpkins for something, this here should suffice. And then over here I've got a little cocoa bean farm going, and again it's a 9x3. Over here we've got a single wheat farm. Now with this system I considered putting in a second wheat farm, just because seed production from a single farm usually isn't enough to sustain a chicken farm. But because of, if you listen in the background, you can hear a ticking from a dispenser. That's because I've set it up on a timer so that the eggs can be launched in to make more chickens. So here is the melon farm with the exact same setup, the 9x3, and seeds planted down the center. You will need to manually plant those. And then I've got a sugarcane farm here, which is a regular 9x9. With the water channels in the center. Now you're not seeing any water here in the pumpkin and melon farms because it's actually right here in the side. If I were to break this here, you'll see that that's where the water is. Oops, didn't mean to drop it. Okay, and the same thing over here for the pumpkin farm, and that was just to make sure that it didn't dry out. Okay, so here you can see that I've got two farmers and two couriers up here. So basically, one courier is pulling out the potatoes and the carrots and dropping them into the mailbox here. I have a pig farm in, and I have a warehouse. So I've done this with as simple of an NPC as possible. They're all novices. So you'll see this box is named Potato Farm Out. That's just so that I know where everything is, and they have to have a name before you can use them. Now you'll see the pumpkins are also going here into the warehouse, and I'll show you how that's happening here in just a moment. So this guy's picking up the carrots and the potatoes and sticking them here into this mailbox. Over on the other side, this courier is picking up the wheat and seeds from the wheat farm And he's placing them into two different locations here into the chicken input. And you'll see, so the seeds go directly here into this. I could have stuck them into one of these possibly, but it would have just gone straight down into here anyway. So he just places them here. And the other one is the cow farm in for the wheat. And again, you'll see pumpkins showing up there as well as the sugarcane. So let's go down here to the bottom level. Over here is the chicken farm. Okay, and you'll see that there is the mailbox where the seeds are going down into a hopper and into the chicken farm. And over here is my dispenser with an egg mailbox. So eggs just have to be dropped into a mailbox with a destination for eggs, and then they'll get placed into a hopper and into a dispenser. And then they drop right in. Over here is the cow farm, and there is a mailbox up top, and there's also a hopper up above it. So if we look directly up above there, that is the cocoa farm input. The cocoa bean farm is right here. So any of the cocoa beans that get harvested from that farm go straight into this hopper and then into the mailbox. This one here is the rations out mailbox, and that is so that food can be delivered into this large chest. This is where all of these NPCs are getting their food from. Then over here we have the pigs with the pig farm, and there is a mailbox directly up there. And there you can see the carrot farm. Unfortunately, the output for some farms is the side and not the bottom, because any of the farms that can use bone meal, such as carrots and wheat and potatoes, those resources go into the bottom. So if the inventory was on the bottom, then it would, I would have it going straight down. But because it has a special resources slot, it cannot. So that is the pig input, which comes down here and fills up the resources slot here through the hopper. And then over here is the sheep, which of course needs no input, which is why I just stuck a block of dirt here, because they're just going to be outputting the wool. Now if it doesn't have a bottom slot, then a hopper on the bottom will work to pull out the inventory, even though it says sides. So that is one of the reasons why I needed to use couriers here. Let me go and make it daytime again so they'll get back to work. So if you look, a melon farm, you cannot use bone meal. The reed farm, aka sugarcane, does not have a bottom slot because you cannot use bone meal. So a wheat farm can, therefore it has to be pulled out by a courier from the side. Unless you had another mod installed that could pull things out of the side. Anything like Buildcraft or Thermal Expansion or extra utilities like I used in my Season 2 of my single-player series. If it can pull out of the sides, then you can automatically pipe out of it. The cocoa farm, okay, it does not have a slot for bone meal. Though I believe you can actually bone meal these. Let me go ahead and check. I think you can. Yes, you can. So I'm not sure why it doesn't have a slot for that, but it certainly makes it more simple for me with this build. So the carrots, again, special resources bottom. The pumpkin farm, again, none. And the potato farm has the special resources on the bottom. So for this build, you can see I've got the standard food farms, the sugarcane for paper, pumpkins and melons, and even cocoa beans. And I'm using hoppers, just regular vanilla hoppers, and the mailboxes to transfer stuff. So now let's go ahead and go over to the warehouse. So this is our warehouse. This is the warehouse mailbox. So anything that goes into a warehouse slot through any of the other mailboxes comes into here. And then over here, I have a warehouse 2, and that is just in case I need a second courier in here. And that would be very easy to add. That would be to add something like automatic charcoal and furnaces and cooking the meat, or making bread or cookies or anything else you wanted to do to automate. Why are you just standing there? Come here. Okay. Now, let's go and take a look at the warehouse. If you see, this is day 19 of this world. So it did take me a little while to build everything, but let's see what's in the warehouse. I've constructed the largest warehouse you can with 3,969 slots. You can see we've got lots of cocoa beans. Okay, I've got 4 sheep. One that makes gray wool, one that makes light gray wool, and 2 that make regular white wool. So if you look here at the resources, lots of sugar cane, plenty of pumpkins if you wanted to make pumpkin pie. The eggs right now are not being taken out. Looks like we've actually had a couple of cows killed because we've got some leather and some raw beef. Some feathers. If you wanted to, you could, like I mentioned before, make a second wheat farm to produce extra seeds. You could then make an auto crafting table to go with the cocoa beans and the wheat to make cookies if you wanted to do that. I also have this courier, so let me show you what he is doing. Very simply, all he's doing is he's picking up seeds and wheat if they happen to go in there. Originally I was going to try and have everything just sent into here, but I ended up doing the couriers upstairs. So I didn't pull those out. I could because he's not really taking those out, but if for some reason you wanted to send all of your output into the warehouse, then he could easily do that. He's also grabbing any rations, and he's on a fill 2. So what he's actually doing is he's getting a maximum of 1 stack of each of these items in his inventory at a time. Since I've got him stopped, let's go ahead and see if we've got any more chicken in here. No raw chicken. So I only had 1 at the time, which is why if you look on here, you only see 1. So I would need another one in order to increase that number. But he's on a fill 2. So he'll grab any of these things out of the warehouse. And he's going to deposit the melons and the raw potatoes at this point. If I set up an automatic cooking system to make baked potatoes, then those would feed into the warehouse and he would take baked potatoes. And the same thing with chicken, or if I added beef and pork chops, I can fill up his entire row here of any number of items to pull out. And then what he's doing is he's depositing them into the food processor right here. So any of the items, and right now he's been able to make plenty off of just the melons, really. Melons, a few potatoes, and then the occasional piece of chicken that comes in. He just tosses it into the food processor and it travels down through these hoppers into the warehouse. And then he grabs up to a maximum stack of 64 of these food rations out of the warehouse. From here, he has a fill 2 1 stack into this chest. So you can see I stuck a bunch of rations in here for him. Once this finally gets down, like, let's go ahead and let's see how much of this I can pull out. So if I go ahead and I stick these into here, and I want to actually get him down to less than a stack. Okay, so there's nothing in there right now. Actually, I should probably make it, let's make it a half stack so we can actually see him fill it up to a full stack. Since he's pulling out up to a full stack, then we just want to go ahead and do that. Just so we can see it. Oh, no, come here. There you go. So he's going to get back to work. So now he should grab some rations and fill this up to a maximum of 1 stack. And anything else will go into the mailbox here to be sent to the rations out. So he's just going to keep coming over, picking up a maximum of 1 stack of rations, and then they will end up over here feeding the rest of the NPCs. So if we come over here, we should be able to see rations coming in, flowing through the hopper, and then into this large chest. So that way we can keep these guys fed. And since I only have 1 guy working over there, 1 stack is fine. I could easily put a second courier in here who could pull other items out and either transfer them to another inventory or put them into a furnace in this section. So I covered this here up with dirt. This here is just the warehouse. And so what I had to do was, after you have so many sides touching, they have to have a space in between them. So it just looks like this. And this gives us almost 4,000 stacks of storage, which is plenty at this point. If I needed to, or if you need to, you can always make a second warehouse. Remember, I had this one here named as Warehouse 2. So you could have different items going to different warehouse buildings so that you could have all of your raw food going into one warehouse and all of your cooked food going into another one. So this is pretty much, from my idea, a very efficient setup for all of this. I've made sure that the couriers and the farmers can walk around and get to the upstairs and downstairs with equal ease. You can see here we've got some seeds in here. He's coming down here now to breed and kill whatever needs to be done here. This guy's looking for something to do. As soon as more work becomes available, he's back on it upstairs. So this is basically episode 1 of my extreme build series. What I want to do is I want to go ahead and start doing this type of special video series to highlight different mods that I'm familiar with. If you guys have any suggestions for another mod to use, if there's something you'd like to see me build to make a high efficiency build, that's great. Please put that in the comments. If you'd like me to work with some interoperability between some mods, such as something like this with pipes, either extra utilities, buildcraft, thermal expansion, anything like that, please let me know, and we'll see how compact and efficient we can make things. If you're interested, I would be more than happy to go ahead and add on to this Ancient Warfare build by adding in maybe some fish farms here underneath and some tree farms, and then maybe throw in some type of auto smelting system for cooking the food. Anything you guys would like to see me add on this. I did make this a super flat world, and I'm in creative and it's peaceful, just so there aren't any mobs for me to have to worry about. I'd like to try and build something like this in the Toski's Challenge series. Now, it would definitely be a challenge to try to build something like this in survival. I don't see any reason why it couldn't be done, especially since the bottom level here is just all of your animal farms. And the reason the animals are on the bottom is, of course, because the crops need sunlight in order for them to actually grow. Previously, I've used vanilla mechanics with Potato Farm to auto-harvest by making it completely dark in a room, and they all just pop out of the ground. You run around, pick them up, and replant. So that was a consideration for the build. Lighting it up isn't really much of a problem. I'll go ahead and I'll turn on the light overlay. It's something where if you need to, you can just go ahead and throw some torches down. But if you've got it nice and enclosed, if a mob were to spawn in here, which he can't because they cannot spawn on farmland or slabs, there's very, very few places where anything could spawn. In here, these cocoa beans apparently don't provide enough light to keep all mobs from spawning. The only other location is going to be the occasional square in here. It would be simple enough to just throw a block in here, something like this, and we'll just throw some torches on it so we can keep it lit up. Same thing over here. Where the sugarcane grows, it's not tilled earth, so mobs can spawn. So if you need to, you can just go ahead and throw in, a block and throw some lights in. Not a problem. And we'll go ahead and we'll place another one over here. And that should keep anything from spawning. There we go. Oh, we do have a little bit more here. So maybe we'll throw another one over here. And does that do it? Okay, so everything here is nice. And, oh, forgot about this one. So let's just go ahead and throw one right here. And yeah, we'll just do it nice and clean on all four sides. Okay, down below it should be all lit up. Oh, missed one spot right here. Definitely want to make sure that no mobs can spawn. And what about over here? This is all nice and lit up. So the only place right now that is questionable is here where the warehouse is. And I could have stuck the warehouse underneath, but I just did a standard super flat, which only gives you 3 blocks until you hit the bedrock. So this is something that you could totally build in a survival world. Put the warehouse underneath it type of thing. Probably the most expensive thing in this build, other than the hoppers for the transferring of everything, is going to be the mailboxes. You do need a little bit of lappies for that. But other than that, it's pretty cheap. The novice couriers, novice farmers, 3 couriers at this point and 2 farmers is pretty cheap. They're just using the stone tools, the small backpacks, and the small routing slips. If I wanted to, I could have made higher tier couriers with the larger routing slip and just used 1 in this area. Anything is possible with this build. If you have any questions about it, go ahead and put them in the comments and let me know. This is going to be kind of a short episode because I've already got everything here built. If you'd like me to, I can go ahead and show you the build. I can go ahead and rebuild it. That's not a problem if you're interested in seeing exactly how I did it. Basically, the chicken or all of the animal farms are a little bit smaller because they don't need to be 9 by 9 or 10 by 10 in order to have the minimum or maximum actually of 6 animals. They're set up to keep a maximum of 6 adults, so you don't really need a whole lot of room for that. And come daytime, looks like there's going to be some killing going on here. But really, all I was focused on was getting efficiency of space. It's only, what is it, about 6 blocks high? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 7 if you go to the top of the glass. And I put the glass panes here just to make sure that these guys couldn't get into a place where I didn't want them. But I also wanted it to be easy to see. So at 7 blocks tall, you could go up 8 and you could totally put a roof on it. You could actually put this underground if you gave enough lights for your farms to grow. But this is episode 1 of Extreme Builds. I hope you guys like it. It took me a bit of time to kind of get everything the way I wanted it. If you have any suggestions on how you think I could make it more efficient, please go ahead and let me know. I read all the comments and I will be sure to respond to you. So, with that, guys, I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you in my next episode with some ancient warfare. And take it easy.